And a very warm and sunny welcome from Stansted, Echo Golf Sierra Sierra. We're in the delightful Just Flight RJ85 in this really striking Aurigny livery. It's one I happen to have done, so of course I'm going to give it a big thumbs up. We're going to fly today to Guernsey, Echo Golf Juliet Bravo, and just a short flight, 200 or so miles, shouldn't take too long. We'll have a quick look at the route now. So departing from runway 04 at Stansted, we'll take the NUGBO 1 Sierra, which has got just a couple of constraints. I think it's up to 5,000 feet to Barkway and NUGBO, and then it routes pretty much to the southwest to LELNA, so overhead Southampton, Isle of Wight, out to LELNA. Then it's the arrival LELNA 1 Victor, which takes you to the VOR Guernsey GUR, and then we'll do the ILS 09. We'll do a full brief though en route, but you know, fairly straightforward. I've done a sim brief flight plan and we've got all the details here, so let's get into the aircraft and get set up for the flight. Okay, so all I've done is to open the doors. You don't even need to do that, because when you start loading the passengers and you do start loading, the crew open all the doors for you. So I just did that really just so, because it looks nice, I guess. We can always hide the yoke, because then you get a better view of the FMC, and that's the switch here. So yoke's gone, and as always in the RJ, the BAE 146 and the Fokker, you start on the EFB, you go to the OFP, you've got your sim brief number in there, and you do continue, and it brings in the OFP from SimBrief. And then when you go back to the aircraft tab, it says, do you want to import the payload, the fuel, passengers and cargo? And if you say import, then those are loaded, and you've got a choice of loading time. I've got the refueling set to 5 minutes, and I'll start that now, but you can say instant or 10 minutes or however long you want it to take, realistic maybe. And the passengers, you can also say load instantly or load it realistically, or in however many minutes you want it to take. And I'll get those loaded shortly, because I've got it set to 5 minutes. And stairs, you can either set stairs, which are the built-in air stair, or you can click this to jetway if you're at a gate. So I'll get that going in a moment. So what we're going to do now is just get the aircraft fired up. So we do battery 1 and battery 2. Immediately we'll just fire up the APU. Again, this is just a quick, you know, my way of getting it all fired up and configured. Might not necessarily be the right way, but it's the one that works for me. Left inner fuel pump can come on, and then we can fire up the APU. That doesn't take long to come online. We look up here, these are the interior lights, so we'll get the nav light on. We'll arm the passenger emergency signs, and we'll get the no smoking to automatic. And just see the APU winding itself up there. And even though it's a sunny day, we will get some cockpit lighting on, just so you can see where the switches are. So APU is now online. So not quite sure, maybe I haven't got any fuel on board. Anyway, we'll get the APU generator on, get the galley power on, get the APU air on, and we'll get the packs on. Okay, so now the APU low pressure fuel light has gone out. I'm happy with that, and we've got the air conditioning now supplied by the APU. Now that's quite important in the RJ and the BAE 146, because actually you do a takeoff with the APU running and the landing with the APU running, and the APU will then supply the pressurization and the air conditioning, because then the engines you're not using the engine bleed air, which gives them a little bit more power to hand should you need it. So APU is on, and we come up to the overhead top left where we switch on the avionics, the autopilot master, and then we do the yaw damper, lift spoilers, auto spoiler is already switched on, anti-skid can go to on, and auto brake, the brake fans can go to auto. Then we do the hydraulics, we do the DC pump and the AC pump, and then we check that the PTU runs, and we'll wait for that low pressure to go off. There it is. We can switch the PTU off now. Now it's a high wing aircraft. Okay, so ground crew are not going to have their fingers trapped in the flap runners and stuff. So to pressurise the hydraulics, it's probably not okay, but I think it is. Right, so we'll do the cockpit lighting. So the glare shield is here, and the overhead is here. Then the co-pilot is here. These two. The pedestal here. And then we do pilot side, captain side. Okay, so that's all the cockpit lighting that we need. In the 146 you need to switch on the primary flight display and the nav display on both sides, and then we can set the weather radar to standby, warming up. There it is. And the 146 and the Fokker and the RJ, you need to use a SimBrief downloader to put the flight plan in place. I've already done it for this flight, but essentially once you get this folder sorted out, you only have to press the download button once and the flight plan is in. You don't need to reconfigure this each time, you just press the download and it's done. So the flight plan is in place, and we'll bring it in now. So we go to the FMC, we go to POS init, and we type in the ICAO. Now I know it's already there, I'll show you why we do it again. Go Golf Sierra Sierra, go there, and then it brings in the airport coordinates, which we pick up and drop into the IRS position. But we won't do that until we've got the IRSs switched on. So here are the IRSs. You've got to pull the co-pilot yoke back and you put them into a line. Then you transfer the position, which is in the scratch pad, to right for decay. Now, the Just Flight RJ, you've got a realistic, it takes a realistic amount of time for the IRSs to align. So what you can do is to do it quick align. So you go to, I think it is, you go to nav and then to, well, the last stop, I can't remember what it's called, and then you go back. I think back to nav, I think. So you go all the way across and then back to nav. I'm going to check that now. So the IRS is fast to line. You go from off to align to nav to align. So it is back to align. You've got to click it and then bring it back. So click it and then bring it back. No, I think I had it right before. Let's see what happens. Oh, hang on. Yeah, that's aligned, and that's aligned. So that's what you do. You bring them all the way to the right hand side and then back to nav. I knew there was a shortcut to do that. Right, so we got the IRSs aligned, and then we don't go to route, we go to index, and then we go to flight plans, and then we pick up the flight plan that you've done in SimBrief and transferred from SimBrief using the SimBrief downloader. So we're looking for Echo Golf Sierra Sierra. There it is. To Jersey, Echo Golf Juliet Bravo. You pick it up and you do activate, and then you do execute. Now we do the departure and arrival. So departure is runway 04 and it's the NUGBO 1 Sierra. Then we do execute. Then we go back to the index to arrive to the arrival page, and then we do the ILS 09, the Guernsey 1 transition, and then it's the LELNA 1 Victor. And then we do execute, and once we've executed that, we just go to the next page, and we'll just do next to scroll through the pages. And there's probably, there it is, there's a disco there. So what I'm going to pick up this Guernsey and drop it into the one above to remove the disco. Okay. Now the other thing is, I'm just going to set this now so it's at Guernsey at 2,000 feet. Okay, rather than, let me just get rid of that message. 2,000 rather than 2,000 or above. And execute. Now this has got VNAV, but it's only advisory VNAV. It doesn't actually, it only tells you what you need to do. It doesn't do it for you. Okay, there is a VNAV page in which it's got the speeds below 10,000 and the speeds above 10,000. So it says the climb is going to be at 280 knots, which is fine. It can do that. But I'm going to climb at 260 knots. And then we're going to go to, it's one of 3 pages, we're going to go to the next page. And then we're going to descend at 0.63/260. And that's just my preference. I don't want it to go too fast, and I don't want it to take too long to climb. Okay, so we go to the init ref, and now we put in our cruise altitude, and I've got that today as flight level 280. We have to put in our zero fuel weight, so I'll just bring up SimBrief. So our zero fuel weight is 27.4. I'm going to call it 27.4. 27.4. Then we're going to do our reserves, and our reserves, we have to go to the briefing preview, scroll down, and our final reserves for the alternate 1850, so I'm going to put 1.9. 1.9. And then we're going to put in the cruise wind and the ISO deviation. So the cruise wind is average wind 072 at 3 knots. So 072 at 3. And the ISO deviation is +1. We don't need to do plus or minus sign, just do 1, and then put that into the ISO deviation there, and then do execute. So that's pretty much the whole FMC taken care of. Now we can go to the legs page. On the co-pilot, I like to put it onto the progress page. Okay. On the nav display, to zoom in and out, we use the EFS panel. Here. So there's the zoom in and the zoom out. If you want to get your ground speed or your wind speed or your ETA and so on, you have to press the data button. And each time you select it, it toggles from ground speed, then it'll go to wind, and I like to keep it on wind, but you might want something else. Distance to run to the current waypoint. You get the idea. So you just cycle through that. I'm going to keep mine on wind. Get wind. Okay, so I'm going to get the QNH. So press B 1026, and I'm going to just do a quick performance calculation, just to give me an idea of, you know, any assumed temperature. So I'm going to use Utopia for this. I know it's not everybody's favourite. It's very, very old, but you know, it's a simulator and it's good enough for me. I don't want to spend money to get a number that's 100% accurate. I'm happy with that. So we'll go to the BAE 146200. We'll type in IKEA or Sierra Sierra. You see it's old because it's still got runway 05 as a Stansted. We'll bring in the weather and we'll put in our weight. So we'll just do 29,100, 29,100, and then we're going to press take on performance. So it's saying flap 18 with the assumed temperature of 50. Okay. This is the thrust rating panel. And at the moment, if I gave it toga power, it would be maximum thrust. But of course we don't want to. We want to use 50 degrees assumed temperature. So I press that and it goes to reduced takeoff. And now we can set the value we want. To do that, we use the outside ring here. We move it up to temperature. And now we dial this up to 50, because that's what Utopia gave me. And I'm happy with that. You might be happy with a different program, but this is fine for a simulator, I think. So 50, that's the assumed temperature we've got. Okay, so that's going to give us a thrust rating, I think, of 85.4. Okay. Next, we need to get the V speeds in. So we're going to take off flap 18. That's what Utopia said. So we're going to click on the number next to 18 here. 108. Now, you might not think it's done anything, but it has actually set your V2 speed, which is 119, up here. And it's also set the rotate speed 108 and the flap no, sorry, that's the oh, I don't know what that is. 108, or I don't know. 108 is the rotate speed, and 119 is the V2 speed. So that would be the climb out speed. Right, we've done that. We can switch on the flight director. Altitude, we've got a constraint of 5,000. I don't know what they're going to tell us to do though. They might ask us to climb before we get to those waypoints, or they might get us to stay at 5,000 feet. But anyway, 5,000 feet is set. We've got the runway heading 042 set. We've got the flight directors left and right on, and we've got V2 speed. Okay, we've got to switch on the left nav and the right nav, and I think they're good. So we've got the APU bleed on, and we need to get the emergency lights on the cockpit, and we should now be fully fueled. So it's going to the fuel, it says complete, and we're now going to bring in the passenger start boarding. It's going to take 5 minutes, and that's fine. So we'll wait for them. There's one passenger. I think we've only got 43 today. Okay, so the landing elevation you have to set. Now Guernsey I think is 330 feet, so you use this knob here, and I'm going to rotate it to the left until I get, well, 400 is fine, because you really want it depressurized before the wheels touch down, or as the wheels touch down. So there we go, 400 I've got set. So that's the landing elevation taken care of. And we'll keep the door open for a moment as the passengers board. And what we can do in the meantime, we can just get the ATIS from Stansted.
Stansted information Tango, 1250 Zulu winds are 09 or 9 at 6 knots. Visibility 6 miles.
Through the headset.
Skies clear. Temperature 14, dew 0.1. Current QNH is 1026. Arriving and departing runway 04. Stansted information Tango, 1250 Zulu winds are 09 at 6 knots.
Seems not to
Visibility 6 miles.
So
Skies clear. Temperature 14, dew point 1. Current QNH is 1026. Arriving and departing runway 04. Stansted information Tango, 1250 Zulu winds are 09 at 6 knots. Visibility 6 miles. Skies clear.
I've got to change it.
Temperature 14, dew point 1. Current QNH is 1026. Arriving and departing runway 04.
Well, I don't know. I can't get it. Oh, there it is. Good. I can hear it in my headset now. So we'll get clearance from pilot to ATC. Quiet. Squawk 4152. So 4152, and then we go to Tara. Sorry, not Tara. We go to TA, which is 2 clicks of the transponder. So 1, 2, there we go, that's on TA. Now we need to uncage the standby attitude indicator. Have a quick look at how they're doing for the loadings. It's 70%, nearly that. And we'll just check that the park brake is on, and it is, because we'll need to take the chocks off. And we can also set the takeoff trim by clicking this here. That sets the takeoff trim. Okay. Had trouble with the pushback yesterday. I have to run it on manual mode. Anyway, I've got a honeycomb throttle quadrant, and I have set the fuel levers to be in the detent. So when I move the throttles out of the detent, they go up into fuel on and idle. Okay, and when I bring them down into the detent, they go back to fuel cutoff, and that's quite handy. And so where are we? 100%. Right, so they'll close all the doors. You'll see these gradually go out. The stairs are being retracted, and the doors just closed. Okay, and I'll just get pushback clearance. So we're ready to push and start. So what we've got to do is get the beacon on, we get the fasten seat belts on, we'll switch off the chocks because we know that the parking brake is on. As you can see, the pushback is now actually not working at all. So this is the aerosoft pushback. Yeah. Okay, well, we use the built-in one. Okay, you couldn't write this really, and we got clearance to push back. So I'm going to switch off the APU air and the 2 packs. I don't want any exhaust fumes or anything like that coming into the cabin as we're starting the engines. So air conditioning is off. To start the engines in the RJ, you've got to put on the anti-ice, engine anti-ice on. Switch on all the fuel pumps, or 4 go on. And then you've got to select the engine start master. And we start 4, 3, 2, 1. So you move the selector to 4. So let me start the pushback. I've never used this before. So connect the tug. Okay. Now I do parking brake. Parking brake is here. Parking brake's off. And I'll just start moving backwards, I think. Okay, as we're pushing back, I've got the start master on and number 4 selected. I press the engine start here. And you'll see at number 4 is spooling up. When it gets to about 12, between 12 and 15, you can put the fuel on. So 10, 12 and 15, right, fuel is on. I'll just show you the throttle lever, there it is, and you can see the engine just start to spool up. And let's just have a look. Alright, so we need to turn there we go. We'll just slow down a bit. Okay, now we do stop. Okay, and then we can do park brake and cancel, I guess. Yep, driving off. Right, so number 4 is started, so we can do number 3. Hit the start. Look down here. You see it spooling up. We've got 15, so fuel can come on. Got light up. The big fan's turning. And oil and pressure is up here. Oil and temperature is up here. Okay, so that's number 3, then we can go to number 2. So number 2 spooling up. And 15 we've got. Okay, we've got light up. Big fan is turning. Pressure and all temperature's coming up, so that'll be good. And then we can do number 1. Start. See it spooling up. Get ready with the lever. Okay, fuel is on. I see all 4 throttle levers are now in idle. I've got light up, big fan's turning, and you'll see more pressure registering and the temperatures rising gradually. Okay, so we'll wait for all the lights to go out. We can switch this to off and switch off the master. Right, we've done that. We can now switch off the anti-ice. I can put on the generators. Engine 1, engine 4. I can put the APU and packs on. So the APU's again handling the air conditioning and the pressurization. Just getting up to here, the pressurization panel. We're going to put the engine number 2 pump on and the engine number 3 pump on. We're going to switch on the power transfer unit. Okay. So we're all good, and the APU stays on, as I said. We can do the pitot and static ports. They're all on. And down here we need to get flap 18. So that's the first stage of flap. Let's have a look at that. It's quite impressive RJ. Slotted founders. There's no leading edge devices on the RJ. And I think we're ready for taxi clearance. We can put our transponder onto Tara. It's on Tara now. These are our brake temperatures. Very important in the RJ, the brake temperatures. If you taxi too fast and use a lot of brakes, the brakes will be too hot. And because there's no reversers, you're absolutely reliant on the brakes on this thing. So yeah, that's really important. So let's get taxi clearance. So let's call out for that. Okay, so taxi and landing lights are on the same stalks. So down is for taxi, up is for landing. So taxi light number 1, taxi light number 2, and we'll do the turn off lights as well. And the park brake is there. But before we do the park brake, let's just close the door. Now in the Fokker 28, the crew close the door for you, but there is no door lock. Here, you've got to do it yourself. So close the door and put the lock on. Yeah. So park brake can come off and we can start taxiing. There's a bit of lag on the system today because I think there's a fair bit of traffic around. Okay, and there is a takeoff config warning, a takeoff config check here, so we just press it, no noise, so we're good. So check on the right, clear on the right, check on the left, clear on the left. So basically we're just going to not turn left here, we're going to turn left at the next one. Taxi all the way down. Okay. Like most Just Flight products, there is a interactive co-pilot callouts on the RJ, the Fokker 146. But that only works if you've got certain conditions met, and that's all in the manual. And we'll need to tell the crew in the cabin to take the seats for takeoff. Sure what that aircraft there is heading. It's on my right, so it's got priority. Oh. Didn't like the look of us. Went back home. So a couple of click spots on the altimeter here. That's to set standard pressure. Here, the screw head here, between the autopilot and altitude hold. That's to center the heading. Here, sorry, here, this one, that's the toga button. So we'll spool the engines up, we'll press that, and then they'll go up to, I think we said 85 for the 50-degree assumed temperature that we got set today. It might seem like a very slow takeoff roll. 50 for the assumed temperature is actually quite high for a 146. But this is a very long runway. It's nearly 4,000 meters long. So yeah, it's a high D rate because it's a long runway. There's an excellent checklist. Well, it's got lots of data in it here, and you can flick through the pages. Just park it back. Creep forward until pilot to ATC have noticed us at the hold. Come on. I'm just going to change the tail frequency myself. So we're ready for takeoff. On the left. Okay. Okay, so we get our landing lights on. We'll do our strobe light, and we'll tell the crew to take their seats. Okay, so hit the toga button on my honeycomb. Hit the auto throttle button on the autopilot panel.
Cabin is secured.
Bring the throttles up to check thrust, and then we'll do toga. Click on the toga button here, and you'll see now that the engine's spooling up. I can move my honeycomb throttles all the way to the forward stop. It won't change the power settings. So 85. We've got aircraft is airspeed is alive, so it's yeah, it's going quite slow. Now it's V1 come first. Very gentle rotate on the 146 as long as you're doing tail strike. There's a decline, gears coming up. I'm just pitching now to follow the flight directors. level change. I've got the autopilot on that way, and the hands free to show you more. Okay, so now we're on level change. Aircraft is climbing out to D2, 119, and it's on now LNAV. We're looking for 1500 feet acceleration altitude, and I will change the speed then to 180, which will be our climb out speed. So 1500 feet, changing to 180, and you'll see the aircraft will now pitch down to achieve 180. 180, pitching down, accelerating. That little yellow marker is the flat up speed, and you'll hear up. I didn't hear the call out, but okay, it's flap 0, so flaps are coming up. And when the flaps are indicating 0, I will change to climb power. Flaps are coming to retract position. And now the climb power can come on. 2 settings for climb power. Click it once, goes on to normal, click it again, goes into maximum. Let's go to maximum. We want to climb. We want to get there. Okay, we're at 5,000 dialed in. The aircraft will level off shortly. Centre the heading bug, little clip spot there. Okay, and I'm going to select 240 on the speed for the aircraft to accelerate. Set, aircraft accelerating, and centre the heading bug again. Okay. 6 accelerating up to 240, but you want. Okay, so runway turn off lights can come off, and we can now get the engine air on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch the APU air off. Now the engine will take care of the air conditioning and pressurization, and now I can switch the APU off. Okay. Up NUGBO will probably get a clearance to climb somewhere. So I like to climb 240 below 10,000 and then 260 above 10,000. Big compromise for performance. Okay, there we go, on 5 to 1 to NUGBO. And 5,000 is an altitude. Stay on the QMH, but at the moment we start climbing from 5,000, we will go to the standard, and that's the click spot. Just 2 miles or so from anything like that. Caution panel is clear. If there's a problem with the pressurization, it will show. correct accuracies to put in summer textures. Climbing 120. Right, so 120 is set. And then do level change. It will hold 240 in speed. We're above 5,000. Standard pressure. 0.3. And we're going to zoom out a little bit on the now display so we can see at least 1 or 2 more points. There we go. We don't need a weather radar today, not going like this, so that can stay off. But if we did want it on, it's this button here. Let's go to that. Okay, we're climbing at a nice healthy rate, something like 3,700 feet per minute. And the next event will be 10,000 where we'll speed up and switch off the land. Okay, so we need to get to 260 on the speed. So 180 is set, 260 is set, and then have to accelerate into that, just pitch down a little bit, so accelerate, get to 260, so more what we can do now, switch off the landing lights, and let that seats. Okay, so that's the hard work done, very rewarding aircraft to fly. Submerged not really performing very well. Sim could do in that way. Not bad. It's an A and B. It's a Horizon 5. Oh, I don't know. Horizon 7 5900X. RTX 38. So we got trips now to flight level 180. And you've got the green banana here, which shows you at what point along your route you're going to arrive at your selected altitude. So 240, we're going to get to midway between SILVA and Kelly. brake temperature. There's a test button that shows you when you click it, all the LEDs light up. So you know if your brakes are too hot, and if they are, then you should really take it off. We're all good. So we've got SILVA. Just taking the heading button. So clicks like that. It really does run out of oomph very early on in the climb phase. In the mid-20s it's really not that clever. But it's not really made for high altitude, fast cruising. It's a stolid kind of short takeoff, good performance. I didn't hear what I said, but it's fine. Set. Still fine. 260. Okay. I did forget to do the clock. Set the clock coming up. So we move this little switch down. So that's time. And then this one here to start. Yeah.
Traffic.
Traffic there. Very laggy. I can't explain why it's so laggy, but it is. Set to that heading button. Okay, so the green banana showing that we'll be at 280 between Norrie and Haven. And then when we get to the cruise, if we get to the VNAV page, we're on the climb, go to the second page of 3, and you'll see that our target airspeed is 0.7. Now this is not coupled VNAV, as I've said already, we have to dial in. So at the moment it's on the mark number 0.62 on climb, but when we level off we'll need to dial in 0.7. This is a very good aircraft to get you exercising your mind and your airmanship. Keeps you busy. Right, so there's 500 to go. And then we'll do a quick brief on the page. captured the altitude. Hold these on up here. It automatically simply level off on its own, no further input from us needed. Now all we do is dial in 0.72, 0.7 dialed in, and it's now going to increase the power and accelerate. And this does take a little longer than you think. Okay, so while that's doing that, let's do a quick approach briefing. So we'll look at the pad, go to charts, go to airport charts, and go to arrival. So the LELNA 1 Victor is here, and essentially it just says get to LELNA at flight level 200. Okay, so really nothing complex there. Takes you to waypoint FKEX and then south directly to Guernsey VOR, which is co-located on the airfield. So let's go to the approach page. We want the ILS 09. Okay, so this is a bit more interesting. So first of all, the decision height is 201. Let's dial that in first. So 201. There we go. So it's white button, white knob here, and move it and pick the decision height. So here below the vertical speed, 201. So we get to LELNA at flight level 200, and then this chart here says that we get to the VOR at 2000. Okay? So that's fine. We're going to be at Guernsey at 2000. When we get to Guernsey, coming from the north, it's going to be a right turn outbound on 268, radial from Guernsey VOR. And then when we get to 8.2 Dear Me, now Dear Me is labelled here as India Uniform Yankee, and that you can see is the ILS Dear Me. Because the Guernsey VOR also has a Dear Me, and they're just going to be slightly different. Maybe 0.2, 0.3 of a mile, something like that. Okay? So the distances are done on the Dear Me of the ILS. So we're going to have both frequencies on both radios. So 1094, 1081. So 1094, set, flip it, and 1081. So 1081. Okay, and I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. So 1094 first. So that way the Dear Me that's shown here on the RMI, when they're both set to VOR, will be showing us either the Dear Me from the VOR or from the ILS, which will help us with distances that we need. So when we go outbound on the 268 radial from Guernsey VOR, we get 8.2 Dear Me of ILS, and it's a right turn on 313 for 1 minute. The procedure turn 1 minute. Then you do a left turn inbound 133 to establish on the location, and then we pick up the glide at 5.2 on the Dear Me of the ILS. Okay, that's all fairly straightforward. Let's go back to the star. Yeah, LELNA, up to 200. So let's see what we've got dialed in from LELNA. So let's go to legs. LELNA, it's showing 210. So let's change that to 200. Execute. And you can see it's a user constraint because it's large font. probably zoom out a touch on the nav display. There we go. And does that make sense? Top of descent is looking to be about 15 miles maybe north of LELNA. Or yes, we've got to lose 8,000 feet to get to LELNA and flight level 200. That makes sense. Let's send for the heading point. And let's have a look outside. Oh yeah, okay. So we just gone over Southampton, there's the office. Boston Harbour. Aurigny. Now we've got Harbour. NUGBO. So we're cruising at 0.7 mark. Let's look at our ground speed. So ground speed 400. Speed. Let's do a quick weather brief. I think we can do it here on the planner. Go to the online flight planner. We've got new time. Maybe refresh destination. Not sure. And like it's showing 1023. Temperature is 10, visibility 16 kilometers, wind at 060 at 11. So that's it. 6, 7 miles. Right, back to charts. And we are now 20 or so miles from the top of descent. Now you can get a little bit more information on the top of the set, click on the nav page, VNAV page, cruise page, which is page 2 of 3. It shows you here, top of the set, TV, at time 13:07, 16 miles. So what we'll do, we'll call ATC now, tell them we want descent. So onward descent. So, if we descend at 0.7 mark, that's going to be quite fast. Okay, so we're going to slow down till we get to the descent point. I'm going to zoom in on that. Okay, so I'm going to slow down first to 0.63. Then I'm going to press level change. And I'm hoping that the aircraft will get to LELNA at flight level 200. But it might not. So I'll be ready with the vertical speed button here to adjust the vertical speed so that the green banana is over LELNA. So sort of belt and braces approach to descending. Okay, so we've only got now 6 or so miles to run. So I'm going to start slowing down. 0.63 mark. It's very draggy, this airplane, so it really won't take very long to slow down. Pretty much out. descent. 3 to 1. 2 to 1. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So let's press level change. Oh, we've got to change the altitude. 200. Because ATC have cleared us out to 2,000. That's the altitude at Guernsey. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's see where this green banana ends up. We really want it to be pretty much at LELNA. Yeah, I think that's okay. A little bit of wiggle room. And after that we can descend to 2,000 for Guernsey. Descend to the heading bug. Okay, so we're on our way down, so we can look at our approach speeds. So here's the speed take. This is automatically selected for your current weight, and we want flat 33, and it's saying that our VREF speed will be 112. So let's click the 112. That doesn't seem like it's done much, but it has. It's set 112 in for the V approach speed. Sorry, the VREF speed 112. It's also set the flap speeds 164. Okay. You'll just see the needles just come in for both Guernsey VORs. 50 to run. Okay. And so the approach speed is 112. So I'll come in at about 1. 'Going to be at LELNA, flight log 200. That's what the procedure calls for, that's what we will do. Clearly ATC don't mind, but we'll do that now. And just make sure that it can capture the altitude as it sails through it. Okay, so 200, FKEX is our next waypoint, and that's now magenta, so it's active. So let's dial in 2,000 feet. And we'll come down on level change. Okay, and you can just about see Guernsey appearing here on the nav display. See that corner there. Centre the heading back quickly. And we'll just see with that green banana when it stabilises where it's going to be. We might need to change the rate of descent. But as I said, the advisory doesn't absolutely do it for you. In fact, you can see that it's actually not going to take us to Guernsey at 2,000. But I was late, to be fair to it. I was late in getting the 2,000 dialed in. So we're going to come off level change mode. We go to vertical speed mode, and we're just going to increase the vertical speed 2,800 feet per minute. Let's see where that takes us. Once we get to FKs, we'll know more. Okay, so let's have a look. FK's got about 10 to 1. Aircraft is speeding up a little bit. That might not so much. But we don't want to go above 250, below 10,000. So what we can do is just dial in 250 now. It's not going to, that is not going to change, even though we've got the auto throttle on. That's not going to change anything because you know, we're going downhill maybe 3,000 feet per minute, so yeah, that's not going to keep up with our demands. So we just use a little bit of air brake, the big clamshells at the back of the aircraft to help us slow down. Is that Guernsey, I think? Aurigny? I think that's Aurigny, right? Yep. There's Guernsey there. Guernsey is so then, you can zoom in on the map. I'm just going to use the, we're just approaching 10,500, I'm just going to put the clamshells out. There they go. You'll just see that speed wash off. Just leave them open a little bit. We want to be 250 knots below 10,000. Okay, let's strap them in. Let's get the landing lights on. And you can see both our lights pointing at Guernsey. When we get to Everett, in a couple of miles. In fact, just Everett is going to turn left. And both of these models on. Okay, so just reduce our rate of descent a little bit. Close the clamshells. So we're going to get to 2,000 feet for Guernsey, which is fine because I actually want to slow down to about 210. Just centre the heading back. We'll just reduce it incrementally from there to 4240. And we're going to put the heading now onto the approach point. easier for the speed. Okay, so airport should be on 12 o'clock. There it is. We need to be on the QNH. I have to keep forgetting that. 1023. When we get to Guernsey, we're going to get to heading mode, and then we change the configuration of this, so it's on the VOR log, which is this knob, and this one onto rows. The aircraft might start turning before we get to the airport. In fact, it is. There it goes. As soon as I said it, then it did it. Right, speed brake can come in, heading mode is selected, changes to VOR localizer, changes to rows. Okay, there's our localizer. Just going to change the heading to 260, so we know we're going to intercept that. 25. And we're going to go 180 on the speed. So just waiting for the course to come in, there it goes. Then we can go to VOR localizer. Okay. The aircraft will now turn right and follow the I can't remember what it was, 268 radio. Okay. And what we're looking for is 8.2 on the ILS DMU. So let's get the ILS on this. Okay, so that is now the ILS DMU for 8.2. Right, so flap 1 we can do. We'll tell the crew to take their seats. Go back to charts. And 313 is the heading we want. 313.
Heading is prepared for arrival.
313 on the heading. So we've got flap 18, 180, and we're looking for 8.2 on the DME. We can do the APU. We're going to put it on stopwatch on my Cytec Geo. 7.2, 1 mile to run. Heading mode. Heading mode. APU's firing up. Stopwatch, we're looking for 1 minute from the heading of 313. So APU is available. APU air coming on. Engine bleeds are coming off. I'm now going to change this to the ILS frequency and set the course 088. Seconds on 313, then it's a further left turn onto 133. Right, 1 minute we've done, so left turn onto 133. Just be careful that you don't move the heading knob beyond the 6 o'clock positions, and that way the aircraft will stop turning left, it will start turning right. So 133. roll out. The next event will be the localizer, which is the single magenta line there, start to move towards the two other lines. And that's as we capture the localizer. We will then go to approach mode. So we're now on a heading 133 more or less. The localizer is coming in, let's go to approach mode. Localizer live. We're now on localizer. Sorry, approach mode on centered heading button. 0, 8. Match the course. We're now localizer established. Guernsey is. Oh, there it is. Look. Just one thing. The next event will be the glide. Yeah, so that's the magenta here, also shown here. As it comes down, when it's at 1 dot above gear and flat, we'll also slow down now to 160. Remember, we're looking for the glide slope at 5.2 on the ILS DME. ILS DME, both of these now, they are both set to 1081, 1081. It's 5.2 we're looking for. So another 4 to run before that glide slope comes in. What is the glide slope? It's actually a 3-degree glide slope there, so not steep. Normal. And our minimums is 201. Okay. So I'm just going to get the turn off lights on now. Won't have time to do them in a bit. Good temperature, good. Brake pressure, see on both. So 6.7. Right, there you go, nice open coming in. Okay, slow down to 150. And then it's 1 dot, the gear down, flaps 30. Right, 1 dot above, so gear can come down, 2 stages of flat, brings to flat 30, speed down to 140. Right, and so we need to set the, so it's 3,000 feet is in this approach altitude, basically climb out, 2.7 GME, right turn to Guernsey, gear 1. 3,000 feet can be dialed in there. Slow down now to 130. The speed, our VREF speed is now 110. We burnt off a little bit of fuel. 110, so I'm going to come down at 115. Okay, so reduce speed now to 120. Full flat, flat 33. And as we approach the runway, we will extend the air brakes as well. The reason is then we need a little bit more power to stay on the glide, but what we need to do is go around and close those big barn doors and we'll have instant power. Okay, so I'll take over at about just over 1,000 feet or something. We're 1,000 feet now because the aerodrome is 300 feet. So let's go 120, 115 on the speed.
1,000.
So autopilot is off, yaw damper is off, auto throttle is off. I'm going to just look where the engine instruments are, and I'm going to match that position with my honeycomb levers. Okay, so just look where the engine, power levers are set, and then I match the position. So I'm a little bit above the glide at the moment, and I'm at 120 on the speed, so I'm about 10 knots too fast, but that's the VREF speed, the correct speed, 115. I'm happy with that.
500.
So we're 1 dot above at the moment. Still a bit more. Lose. 115 on the speed we have. Okay. We're pretty much on the glide, so 2 white, 2 red, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Okay. 115 on the speed. We've got minimums continuing to land.
Flight slope.
Yeah, no.
100.
Okay, 100. Air brakes out.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Okay, get that nose down. Get braking. Okay. So where is the next exit? Thanks, here it is. Okay, so we'll turn right here. And we're going to go to the other side of the hold and then come to a full stop. That's because we're a single pilot operation. If your co-pilot was aboard, he'd keep himself busy by doing all the jobs that we're about to do. So we'll just get to the other side of the hold, we'll come to a stop. Okay, there we go. Come to a stop. So let's do flaps up. Barn doors can come in. Go to taxi lights. Strobes can come off. APU is already on. You can switch off the pitot and static ports. We can go to T8 on the transponder, and we can start taxiing to a gate of our choice. This is Guernsey Airport by UK 2000. It's absolutely stunning, it really is. I've been to Guernsey and it's a lovely airport. Oh, we've got nobody here. We're the first in today. How about that? Right, we won't take Bay 1, we'll take 2 Alpha. And now, I know we've only just put the taxi lights on, but we're actually going to switch them off. We're going to take 2. I think 2 Alpha is the first one here. Right, so just come to a stop. Because I want to blind people on the ground, so I switch the taxi lights off, and switch the turn off lights off. And then we'll just taxi forward. Road. Yeah. So parking brake can come on, and we can just shut down the engine. So, as I said, honeycomb levers. Just bring the throttles into the detent, and all 4 get switched off. We can switch the beacon off. Switch off the seatbelt signs, go to the aircraft tab, put the chocks on. When you've got the chocks on, click on the passengers and then start deboarding, and they will open the doors, put the stairs out and open the cargo. Okay, so I think that's that. I think Must have forgotten something. Probably I have. Switch off the generator. We did lots more cleaning up, but I'm really not going to do that now. Let's have a look outside and admire this lovely airport and this fabulously iconic aircraft. I enjoyed that flight. Well, I hope you did as well. And if you did, well, I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Alright then, take care. Bye now.